How's it going, everybody? BurntBrian here, and welcome back to another Tall Can Tuesday. In this video, I like to give you updates on my life and the future of the channel, answer random questions, and talk about topics submitted by you, and of course, drink some good beer. Now, as is the tradition, I usually like to have a really big beer tonight, and while I realize this is not a big beer, when you take a second one and put it on top, or even a third one and put it on top of there, you got a pretty big, tall can. So I'm going to start out with one and just kind of go from there, see how I feel. And, I'm definitely going to have at least 2 beers out here, but maybe even 3. We'll see how things go. It has been a while since I did one of these videos, or pretty much any video at all. Just things have been so crazy. I've been trying to focus more on work and a little bit on my life as well, my personal life. Work's just been crazy, at least for the last 3 weeks to a month. It has been non-stop, like 12 hours a day, and then I've been working for Monday through Friday, and then I work 5 hours on Saturdays, so just pretty much have Sundays off with, a few hours on Saturdays to do things. It's just been crazy. I mean, super busy. Been stressed out a lot. Been just kind of trying to figure out what I want to do as far as putting out videos, since I don't know, I just haven't felt motivated again. The same story from previous videos when I'll say the same thing. I just don't really have a whole lot of motivation. By the way, the beer that I'm drinking is, I can't probably get the light right, but this is Big Nose. It's from Swamp Head Brewery here in Gainesville, Florida. This is one of my favorite IPAs. This one is 7.3%, so it's a pretty solid beer. Decent alcohol content on it. Before I get started, I do have a couple questions that some people asked, and a couple, minor topics that I wanted to jump on today. Let me start off by saying Happy Halloween to all of you out there. If you celebrate, I used to always love getting dressed up and going out and partying. This year, just really, again, didn't have the time to do much of anything as far as like planning or doing any kind of costume, and there didn't really seem to be a whole lot of cool adult parties going on either, that at least that I was aware of. So nothing happening this year. I'm just going to chill out, relax, have some beers, do this video. So on that note, cheers to all of you. Happy Halloween. Thanks for tuning in. Down the hatch. Just what I needed, man. In my job, basically the end of the month, every month is always super busy. Everyone's trying to push out everything they can to ship out to customers to make as much revenue as we can for the end of the month. And then, of course, it gets even crazier at the end of the quarter, which we'll be approaching in December. So I'm not really looking forward to that. It's probably going to be an absolute nightmare. But anyway, it's just been a super busy day. I probably pushed out, I would say at least $1 million worth of products. So just steady, nonstop, busy. But anyway, I do have a couple questions that I want to jump onto. And of course, my friend Brooks Food Looks, he's got a YouTube channel where he does different kinds of food reviews on random things, sometimes sodas and stuff like that, and different kinds of fast foods. Of course, he always says that it's ad-free reviewing, so he doesn't ever put advertisements in his videos to try and make money or anything like that. And he's a pretty honest, cool, laid-back guy. I definitely enjoy his content. You should check out his channel if you get a chance. I'll put a link down in the description. First question he asked, let's see, he said, do you think it would ever be possible to get a 10 on both scales in the same sauce? And now that's a question about the hot sauce reviews that I do, and I have my scales. There's a heat scale and a flavor scale, and they both go to 10. I don't do these, half-point scales and, random numbers like 87. It's either a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. But to answer the question, to me personally, I don't think that there could be a sauce that has a 10 out of 10 heat, but also a 10 out of 10 flavor. Like, to me, that's pretty much impossible, at least for me, where my scale goes. Before I go further with that one, his other question was, what would be a perfect sauce level in your imagination? So to kind of answer both, tie up the first question and answer the other one, to me, like, a perfect sauce would have like a 5 out of 10 on the heat and a 10 out of 10 on flavor, or even a 4 out of 10, like anywhere in that range. Just when you start getting higher, to me, it's really only for chili heads, and I don't do videos just for chili heads when I do hot sauce reviews. I do them to try to give an average person, especially now that my tolerance has gone way down and I'm not doing pod reviews and all that, craziness that other YouTubers are doing. My scale is more aimed towards average people that try to eat foods, try to go out and be adventurous and try something spicy. At the same time, I do have a higher level of a heat tolerance than a lot of the average people out there. So, again, a 5 on my scale is still a pretty darn hot sauce. It's definitely way up there. I've had 10s, as far as heat goes, so I know, the extreme levels on either side. So, again, to me, a perfect one would be around a 4 to 5 on heat with, a 10 on flavor. That's not to say that there can't be 10s, in flavor that are, 1, 2, or 3 in heat as well. But I do like mine to be a little spicy. I like it to be up there, more closer to that mid-level heat. So that's just kind of me. That's my personal pick there. Thank you for your questions, sir. I do have a couple other questions that you threw out there. Before I get to those, let me take another quick swig out of this. Just like that, there's 12 ounces of beer, so going up to the 24 ounce level. That should be considered a tall can right there. God, this stuff is so good. So easy to drink, or either that or my tolerance has gotten so high that I really enjoy these heavy bitter beers with a nice high alcohol content. I really don't tend to like a lot of the Bud Lights and stuff, the lower alcohol levels. Again, every beer to me has its place. I've said it before in other videos. I do like Bud Light, and I'll drink Busch and Pabst, PBR, and all of the different malt liquors. They just all have their own place to me. Like, I wouldn't want to be on a beach drinking this in 100-degree weather. It's just too dry and too bitter. I want something that's light, crisp, refreshing. In that case, I would drink like a Bud or a Coors or a Busch or any of those, really. But Brooks Food Looks, next question, he said, do you play video games, and if so, what are you into? Well, currently, I've been playing the hell out of Mad Max. Mostly, I play on Steam, so I do have a link down in the description if you ever want to join me on Steam, play a game or something, if you're a PC console or a PC gamer. Been playing Mad Max a whole lot. That game's a lot of fun. I picked up like Shadow of Mordor, or I think that's what it's called, Middle Earth. Yeah, Shadow of Mordor. Haven't played that one yet, but it looks like a whole lot of fun. A lot of games I've been picking up lately are ones that they tend to put on the Steam sale, so you'll get a really good discount. And then I've also been picking up a couple games that the Zion Mainframe crew has we've been talking about playing. I know there was a new one that just came out that is supposed to be like a really fun golf game, so we're going to hopefully try to get into that and play that one sometime soon. I really do, I love playing solo games, but at the same time, I like multiplayer. I like playing with other friends, being able to voice chat and stuff. And the Zion Mainframe crew guys, they're a whole lot of fun. I mean, we definitely talk about very inappropriate things and just have a really good time. Also, I guess some of the other games I've been into, I've been spending a lot more time playing Rocksmith. It's I know it's an old game, it's been out forever, but I really enjoy it. I think it's pretty awesome to, like I currently don't have an amp for my electric guitar, so I can plug that into the computer and, custom make my own amp however I want it to sound, and it'll play through my surround sound speakers, so it sounds really awesome. There's like a tiny bit of a delay to the sound when you strike a chord or hit a string, so it's within milliseconds, so it's kind of a very small delay, kind of hard to hear, but it's definitely there. But it's cool the way you can play with a song and turn down the game guitar track and just hear yourself playing and play along with a band while you're actually jamming out. It's just a neat game. I definitely recommend it, especially to anybody who wants to learn how to play guitar, or if you just want to try to refine your skills or just have some fun jamming out. It's definitely worth picking up if you already have some talent with the guitar. Also, I have an Xbox One. Haven't been playing it much at all. Grand Theft Auto 5, obviously, still one of my favorites. I played that one on Steam and on Xbox. I've been playing some of the Call of Duties that are out. Got, I pretty much picked up the Xbox One just for Call of Duty because a bunch of my friends at work play. And so I know the new one's coming out, the what is it? The World War II version is going to be coming out this Friday. I plan to pick that one up, so this week it'll probably be spent, shooting people in that game, playing with those guys. But other than that, I haven't really been doing a whole lot of gaming. I do have a bunch that I've bought and downloaded, just haven't played them yet. So hopefully I'll get into that. But again, join me if you're on the Steam network. And if you're on Xbox too, I should be BurntBrian on there as well. I'll have to double check and make it, or maybe it's still Benito420. I can't remember, but I think I changed it to BurntBrian. Anyway, I'll try to put a link maybe or something down in the description for my gamer tag. Let's see. Brooks also says, thoughts on the Switch? What about games like LA Noire, Doom, Wolfenstein 3D announced for the Switch? Well, I haven't picked up the Switch, and mostly just because, I don't know, man, Nintendo pissed me off when they put out the NES Classic, and they only made so many of them that nobody could, very few people could get a copy of it if they wanted it. And, people were buying them up and then selling them on eBay for ridiculous amounts of money for this tiny little NES console that only has a handful of games on it. There are awesome mod boxes that are out there where, I'll probably pick up one of those where it's basically a, what the hell is it called? It's like an emulator box, basically, and you have all these ROMs, so you could have hundreds of games, and you could have multi-platforms all on one console, which is kind of cool, too. But Nintendo in general just kind of pissed me off with all that. And at the same time, I bought it. It's a lot of fun for parties, and I enjoyed it. It just was kind of I don't know, man. It's still a childish kind of thing. And that's the goal, the aim for Nintendo to me has always been focusing more towards kids and older people, more like elderly in a sense. But then they capture some of the people my age, with their classic games like Metroid and Zelda and stuff, and that's one of the only games that I've really wanted to play on the Switch was the Breath of the Wild Zelda game, because that looked pretty awesome, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's hard for me to pick up another console. I have so little time as it is to play the ones that I do. I just didn't really feel like picking up the Switch, even though it is kind of cool how you can take it with you and play your games when you're, out and about, kind of having your own handheld console. As far as the LA Noire and games like Wolfenstein and Doom and stuff on Nintendo, I don't know how they're going to do that. I mean, Nintendo's always been kind of a PG console, and it's kind of like they're trying to compete, I guess. They're trying to be in the market with PS4 and, or at least, PlayStation and Xbox. They're trying to kind of be in there, I guess, by throwing some of these games out there, but I don't know if you've ever really played first-person shooters with like the Wii, for instance. It sucked having the Wiimote in one hand and the little motion joystick in the other one. Really didn't like I didn't like the way that it flowed much at all, except for Fable. Fable was fun to play on the Wii. And maybe the controls on the Switch are a little bit easier, a little bit better as far as, since it's kind of like you're holding this, bigger controller in your hand, but, I noticed you can, take it apart. It just wasn't fun to me to play first-person shooters with the Nintendo at all, at least the Wii, and I couldn't imagine the Switch would be a whole lot better, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'll have to give it a try. I've never even demoed one, never played one, none of my friends have a Switch, so I haven't been able to check it out, but, I'll have to give it a shot and see what I think. Yeah, so thanks for your questions, dude. I appreciate it, man. Cheers. Next up, I've got a question from my friend, Florida 32 Ounce. He is a South Floridian, a awesome YouTuber. I mean, I like the stuff that he does. Some people may not, whatever. He's kind of been in the malt liquor community for a while, but he's also a craft beer drinker. He does like craft beer. He's got a great taste in music and record collection, from what I can tell. Definitely a really cool dude. But he had said, "Do you or anyone you know have a degree of separation to Tom Petty?" One of the girls I worked with at the pawn shop, my last job, she was actually, her last name was Petty, and apparently, that's her uncle, I believe, or second uncle. I'm not sure how it works. But she is definitely clearly related to him, and she's brought in, pictures of them and stuff. And so I thought that was really cool. And I do have other friends in this area. I mean, obviously, I don't know if my dad even really knew him or not. I know that my dad's friends definitely knew Tom Petty and knew a lot of that group. My dad had a band way back. I want to say this was in the early 60s, maybe in the late 50s. It was called Mouse and the Boys in Brass, and basically this was back when AM radio was, the best. I mean, before FM radio. And, they were all the way up there on the, top of the charts, right there next to the Mamas and the Papas and the Supremes. But it just wasn't where, it just didn't happen for them where it should have. Like, they were in Jacksonville, Florida, which really wasn't like a hot spot for new bands, new emerging music. You had to be in kind of New York or California to really get famous. And so even though they were way up there locally, they just never really got national recognition. But they were friends with the Allman Brothers. My dad went to college with Butch Trucks. He was the drummer for the Allman Brothers. So they knew each other well. And I know my dad had an old 45 record from way back from Butch's stuff, maybe from when they were younger, from the Allman Brothers. And so when they had a concert several years back, a reunion concert, my dad got to go backstage and talk with them. And of course, Butch Trucks is I want to say he's a granddad, or I'm not entirely sure what the relationship was. Maybe it's his father. But Butch Trucks, Derek Trucks is the name I'm thinking of. Amazing guitar player. He's played with a lot of big bands. I remember one time he opened up for Eric Clapton in Jacksonville. Just him, solo guitaring. He's absolutely amazing. He's played with Phish before, the band that spelled Phish. And just a super talented guy. He plays a lot of blues, jazz stuff now, from what I can tell, from what I remember. But there are a lot of people that do have some degree of separation to Tom Petty. I wish that I had a closer relation, but I do talk to some people from time to time. There's been coworkers of mine that went to school with him. It's a shame that he passed away. And well, before I get into that, one last question that Florida had was, have you heard his Gainesville band Mudcrutch Reunions album he put out last year? Unfortunately, no, I have not heard that one. I didn't even really know that there was a reunion album out. I'll definitely have to go out and try to find that and listen to it, because Tom Petty really is one of my all-time favorites. Like, it doesn't matter what mood I'm in. If I'm down, depressed, feeling good, just up, all around, his music always makes me feel good. Like, I'll pop on It's Good to Be King, or oh man, what was my favorite one from them? Well, I mean, obviously things like Mary Jane, Last Dance with Mary Jane, and God, now I'm going to draw a complete blank while I'm sitting here. Anyway, so many good songs, so many good stuff. And on that note, he had said to Florida 32 Ounce said, talk about Tom Petty a little bit, and he was raised here in Gainesville, Florida, and I think that, well, somebody put up, we have this giant wall, right? So when you're driving down 34th Street, there's this giant wall where all the college students go, and they put up murals. They put up all these giant pictures over the concrete slab. So as you're driving over this road, there's this giant concrete wall that kind of curves over the hill, and these kids will go out and paint all kinds of stuff. Well, right in the middle of that, there's a tribute to the people that were killed by, I think it was Danny Rollins here in town. He was a killer that, I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was put to death at the prison here in Florida. But, it's just this awesome, memory to those people that lost their lives. And all these years, I mean, it's been many years, and that thing does not change. Nobody paints over it. Nobody touches it. There's a plaque in front of it that tells you do not paint over it. And everyone who goes there and paints on those walls knows not to touch that one, except if you're going to, recolor in and brighten it back up. It's just a really nice tribute. But I think there was somebody that put up a really awesome Tom Petty one, and I hope that they leave that one up there as well. I know they're talking about changing or dedicating a road to Tom Petty, like one of the major arteries in Gainesville. I think perhaps one of the roads that he used to live on. I can't remember for sure. But I thought that's pretty cool. And, his music was awesome. And that's the great thing about Gainesville, man. Gainesville has a lot of awesome musical talent, at least we used to. I don't see as much these days, but this town used to be a hot spot for a lot of local musicians. And I kind of wonder if, all of these corporate buildings that are coming in, and they're knocking down amazing local buildings and local businesses and building giant high-rise apartments for students that, you know, live right there near the university, even though there's, I mean, there are so many places for students to live, and I guess the college is continuing to grow, so they're going to continue to buy out properties and build these giant high-rise apartments and destroy what made Gainesville nice. I mean, this town it's a huge major university town, but it had kind of a small feel to it. It didn't feel like a big city, and we're starting to feel like a big city, and that kind of sucks. It's losing its luster with me for wanting to live here. I don't know, man. And again, it's kind of destroyed a lot of the local music scene to me. There are still some great bands that you'll catch from time to time, but, you know, even one of my favorite places, Lillian's, Lillian's Music Store is a little bar that's right in downtown, and they have a stage, and they used to always do these Monday night jam nights, and it was awesome because anybody could just walk in. It didn't matter who you were. If you had you know, if you were a drummer, you could sit up there and start drumming, and somebody could get up there and play guitar with you and sing, and you could have this cool little jam session. And a lot of local people from the hospitals that are nearby or the university, you'd have a lot of professionals in there, and it's just a cool scene, man, a nice crowd. And they got rid of the jam night, and you know, aside from just people randomly going in and jamming, you'd have bands that, you know, they were kind of up-and-comer bands that would go in there and play on certain nights, and it was just awesome, man. You know, to just go in and catch a great show from somebody. Seen a lot of awesome cover bands there. And there was another place called Cover Dish for a long, long time. That's where a lot of bands came from. That's where I saw Less Than Jake. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they were awesome, kind of punk slash kind of ska-ish kind of band. I mean, I remember listening to them back when I think I went to their Hello Rockview tour back when I was like 18, 19, maybe somewhere around there, maybe a little older, maybe younger, I can't remember. But awesome dudes, again, you know, Gainesville locals, and they got pretty big. They were a pretty decent sized band. But it just kind of sucks to see the music scene not be quite what it used to be. Now they have, like this past weekend, they had what they call Fest. And Fest is a giant, I guess you could call it punk, you know, music festival, but it's more of like, when I think of punk, I think back to my old days, my roots, and the Misfits and the Sex Pistols and, you know, groups like that. Now it's more poppy. It's like pop punk. And that's kind of stupid to me. I don't really like pop punk, you know. And you have, I guess people flood from all over the country. I ran into, this past weekend, a couple people from Canada that were down here visiting, and I thought they were really cool. It was nice chatting with them. For the most part, though, it seems like they come down and they trash the community, and I mean, they tend to leave a lot of trash in the roads and on the sidewalks, and it's always kind of rough, and it doesn't seem like they spend a whole lot of money in local businesses. Maybe they do. I don't know. I don't really see it. But that's pretty much all we have here as far as music goes. They did redo the Bo Diddley Square in downtown, so now we have this awesome spot, you know, where bands can get up and play, and then we also have the main park, which you guys have seen me at, or I've done videos riding my bike around the park area. It's really beautiful out there, and they've got a big hill with a stage set up, and people can go out there and listen on the weekends. I don't think anything goes on during weekdays, but always something kind of cool on the weekends. But anyway, I went off on a tangent on music and Tom Petty and stuff, but you know, it's just kind of sucks that that's kind of where we're at as far as music goes these days in Gainesville. Anyway, let me take another swig. Shit. That's 24 ounces down. I don't know if I'll finish this one on camera or not. I might chill out and enjoy it, because it has been a long, crazy week, crazy day. I've already said that. I know. I apologize. Another delicious beer, and I'm starting to get a really nice buzz from the 7.3%. And I gotta have time to not edit, but get this thing rendered and put out today, because I did put a post on Facebook that I'm thankful to everyone who responded. You know, I really haven't been active at all on Facebook or YouTube or any of that stuff, and you know, and I apologize about that. I do have something fun and exciting coming up that I'll talk about here in the near future. Anyway, the last couple topics that I had, I wanted to jump on real quick. My friend Vincent Barrett, who's the owner of OSO Pepper Company, if you look at my last video, I did a review for their for an absolutely amazing sauce you guys have to try. It doesn't matter what your heat level is. This is definitely one that even people that are into milder sauces would really enjoy because it's not super spicy. And it's made with great ingredients, great local ingredients. He had actually suggested that I pick up the new Sam Adams beer that they put out. Now, this one is a very limited edition one. I'm trying to remember exactly how many. I think it's 13,000 bottles nationwide that are going to go out. If I remember right, this one was $100 to $200 a bottle. I want to say it was close to $200. And it's in an interesting glass. It's a barrel-aged beer. And, I know Sam Adams says that they pioneered the practice of barrel aging, although I'm sure that there have been many breweries that have been barrel aging beers for quite a long time. I don't know if Sam Adams really does have the lockdown on that or not, but it is interesting. This beer supposedly is anywhere from 22% to 28% per volume, with a very low IBUs, only 25%. It's going to be kind of mostly more like a sherry type of beer, just more like a sherry in general. It's not going to be to me the kind of beer that I would enjoy, and I just can't imagine, as cool as it would be to be one of the 13,000 people to have my hands on the bottle and do a video for it. It's just, I can't see myself putting out $200 for just one single beer. I think it's kind of pretentious in a sense that that they do this, and I think it's cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are people that are going to buy it up. But at the same time, you have, a brewery like Dogfish Head, and Dogfish Head does their 120-minute IPA, and that sucker is about 18% per volume. So it's not quite at the 22 to 28%, but 18% is pretty damn hefty. And I actually still have a beer. I still have one of those from last year that I've been bottle conditioning that I will do a review on sometime soon. Maybe it's been over a year now. I might wait till the 2-year mark to crack that one open and see what it's like after it's bottle conditioned for 2 years. Because when you start getting into like 17-18% per volume, you're getting into barley wines and wines categories, and so they can sit in a bottle that long. A beer that's 5 to 7%, I wouldn't want to drink past a couple months of being in a can at the most. Anyways, it's just a really interesting thing. I don't know. Have you guys ever seen this? Definitely go and check it out if you're a fan of craft beers. Let me know if you've come across this rare Sam Adams beer that they release once a year. Do you think it's worth it? Would you buy a $200 single beer? And if you have bought it, let me know what you thought of it. To me, it's just not something that I could ever really get into. Let's see. Last topic that I got. Let me drop this damn pad of paper I've been holding the whole time. I guess before I jump into the last topic, let me take one more swig at others. Damn tasty beer. It's taking the edge off after this rough week. What am I saying? Rough week. Rough 3 weeks. And today is just another one of those days. Anyway, the last topic I want to talk about is ABC beers. Now, I don't know about where you live, and I do have a good friend, somebody that I really respect as far as his opinion goes in craft beer. And I believe he's a consultant in some way or works for ABC in a sense. And maybe it's in different areas, but the problem that I'm really running into with ABC is when I go to their store and I go to buy beer, just about everything that I go to buy as far as craft beer goes, it's like several months past, the enjoy by date, or, you'll see it was brewed in, February, and we're now in November, and they've still got it on the shelf. And yeah, they might take $1 off the price for a 6-pack, but I mean, when you're talking about like a beer like take 6 Point Brewing, for instance. If you're looking at their beer and their resin, which is a double IPA, if you go past 3 to 4 months, it really starts to get this terrible taste to me. Like, I don't know what it is, but
It's this skunky kind of funky taste. And it's not bottles, they're in cans, so it's not like it's getting sunlight or light or anything that's causing it to skunk. It's just from sitting in the can for too long. These beers are really meant to be enjoyed a lot sooner than they are. And I have a problem, like, at least at this one particular ABC I go to, and a vast majority of the beers that I'll look at are out of date. Sometimes even this beer, Big Nose, a local brewery, I'll see is, 5 months, 6 months in, past, at least 2 months past the enjoy date. And I'm like, why are they selling this? That's kind of ridiculous. I'll drive to my local Publix, the store right up the road, and they always have a fresh rotation of Big Nose. So it's just kind of crazy, man. I don't understand what the deal is, why they always end up having these beers with crappy, way expired beers or way out of expiration date beers. But to me, I spent a lot of money in ABC, and when they first started doing craft beers, they had a very nice selection, and I'd go in and load up on it. Now, maybe we did have a Total Wine that opened up not too long ago, so maybe that's pulling the business away from ABC, and they're not making as much, they're not making as many sales on their beers, so they're stuck with this product that's sitting around. But either way, it's kind of, to me, it's bullshit. I mean, I can go to Total Wine, get beers, I look at the brew date, and I can get stuff that's really fresh from there, and if it's not fresh, they end up reducing the price a whole lot more than $1, or they just get rid of it and bring in new stock. Or I can go to my favorite place, which is Gator Beverage here in town. It's right on University Ave. Classic place. Been there for very many years, and they always have an amazing selection. They have a better selection than Total Wine or ABC, and their beers are always well within some sort of expiration date. So I don't really know. I just prefer to stick to that local place, I guess. Just be careful if you go to ABC and you're buying craft beer. Be sure to look at the bottom of the can. Look for on date. And if you see that the brewed on date is January and we're now getting into November, don't buy that beer. Unless it's something with a ridiculous alcohol content, then maybe it'll probably still be all right. But, for the most part, beers are meant to be enjoyed within a few months of the time that it was brewed. Like this one, I can't remember what the date is. It's not on the can. There was an actual stamp that was on one of the other beers. But I know that this beer was brewed August 26th, I believe. So we're still within that 2 to 3 month period. It's a delicious, great tasting beer right in that timeline, perfect to be enjoyed. So just be careful when you're buying in a lot of those big giant stores. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this video. I know I've been running on for quite a little while. I do have to get this thing uploaded at some point. But I do want to say thank you all for tuning in, for watching in the video. If you do have any questions, topics, anything you'd like to hear me discuss in another Tall Can Tuesday video, leave them down below in the comments and I'll be sure to get to them sometime soon. If I do get a whole lot of responses, then I'll put out a video sooner. If I don't get a whole lot of responses, it might be later before I put out another one of these Tall Can Tuesdays. But on that note, just want to say thank you all for watching again. Salud. Not bad. That's 36 ounces of delicious 7.3% craft beer in less than an hour. Probably closer to half hour. I don't know how long this video is. Probably going to be about a half hour. It's not too bad. Anyway, again, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content. Again, I do have some exciting new product that I'm going to be taking a look at here in the near future. It does involve beer and sports in some way. That's all I'm going to give you, and I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on this and giving it a try and sharing it with all of you. And again, I hope you all have a great, safe, fun Halloween. And as always, stay toasty, my friends.